Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we are going to cover off some decks for historic best of 3. You can likely leverage some of these for best of 1 with the Wilds of Eldraine release. Now normally with these meta breakdowns we get all the data from Untapped GG, which is like a companion tool, aggregates win rate data, gives us a whole bunch of stats. It's not had a great influx of new decks, to be honest, and we're kind of limited in terms of what people are playing. While Historic is wide open in the sense that there's a lot of decks you can play, at the same time, it's very cannibalized by Bowmasters and the One Ring right now, that you're basically on a Bowmaster One Ring plan, or you're on, as we'll see really quick, Mono Green Devotion, which is a Karn deck that kind of just goes above and beyond and ignores the deck itself. So you're kind of two guns at a sword fight. I don't know the analogy, but you kind of get the gist there. So I've kind of scoured the internet. I got some stuff off Twitter, stuff off Untapped, stuff from MTG Decks. I kind of curated some decks to take a look at, give you some ideas, stuff of that nature. You've been doing really well with like a non-stock deck of any sort. Let me know in the comments, seeing what we can pull together. Notably in best of 1, pretty much all the decks that were really good before are still very good. Wizards, everything like that. Some of the Wizards decks were trying out that new Adventure Otter. I think it's kind of trash, to be honest. 1 mana to deal 1 damage. While I can hit Bowmaster, it's kind of understated, and you don't really want to be tapping 3 mana for a 2/2 creature. I think just the regular package with like Flame of Anor is better, all things considered. So as you see on Untapped, the last... Okay, so this is popularity of the day. Mono Green Devotion, 30% of the meta. Then if we look at various Bowmaster decks, it's literally 2nd through 7 are all Bowmaster decks. Rakdos midrange is just your Rakdos run-of-the-mill, Shieldred, One Ring Bowmaster deck. Golgari Yawgmoth is a combo deck that also includes Bowmaster. Dimir Control is a Lurrus shell that plays Bowmaster and Snapcaster Mage. Rakdos Sacrifice is a bombardment deck that also plays Bowmaster. Mono Black midrange plays Bowmaster. Jund midrange plays Bowmaster. Temur Gates, so far, doesn't play Bowmaster. So it's kind of like ridiculous where this format's going. I really hope that they do something to address Bowmaster in the One Ring. Historic was my favorite format. It's taken a lot of the joy out just to play pattern, stuff of that nature. But we are here, we are trying things out, and we'll look at some decks. So speaking of the aforementioned Mono Green Devotion list, this deck here, and sorry, I will paste all the deck lists, timestamp it, everything's going to be in the video so you can copy these deck lists from there. So Mono Green Devotion list, the reason this deck's so popular, it's been #1 Mythic by Kepler's, is the creator on Twitter, for like pretty much the whole month. They've been consistently putting up high results with it. They had like an 85% win rate after almost 100 games of best of 3 with this deck. And like, so I have a demo of the deck list. I go over in great detail if you want to see the deck in action. It's really stupid. Like I was playing really inefficiently at times because I was still learning the deck and some of the lines, and I was still just like absolutely destroying people with it. But the big kind of addition with the new set is an unlikely uncommon. So you think, oh, there's all these big, powerful spells, mythics, stuff of that nature. Nope, just Utopia Sprawl. Just this, the biggest thing with this, and the reason why Mono Green was kind of dropped for a while was all the elves would get hit by Bowmaster. Now you have Delighted Halfling with 2 toughness and Utopia Sprawl, which you could put on a forest. A lot harder to deal with, adds an extra point of mana, adds that devotion that you need. Also plays really nice if you stack multiple Utopia Sprawls. You can use the Kiora to untap it as well. The one knock with Delighted Halfling, while it does make your Kiora and Karns uncounterable, it's a little awkward at times when you're trying to do a 3-drop on turn 2 because you don't have access to the triple green that the elves once provided. Wolf Willow Havens, for more ramp, you have Invasion of Ixalan to help you dig. Your kind of core package, Karn, Kiora. Version's playing Grizzled Huntmaster as another tutor effect for creatures. Timeless Witness to get stuff back from the graveyard. Then you have Cavalier of Thorns, Storm Festival kind of package. Vorinclex is a big mana sink, helping you find forests, as well as Nissa. Now the thing is, there's a line with Nissa or with Woodcaller Automaton where basically you animate the Nykthos, and with Staff of Domination, you can basically tap untap it and gain infinite mana, draw out your whole deck, tap all your opponent's creatures, gain you infinite life, basically whatever combination of things you want to do in that respect. The rest of the sideboard is basically just a Karn board, answers for pretty much every situation. Graveyard hate, activated ability hate, artifact enchantment hate, liquid metal coating, combo hate, blow up things, card advantage, Core Memorial is really good against black and red decks. Cityscape Leveler, the whole jazz kind of in there. So you can kind of tutor up whatever answer you need in those situations. So the best of one deck, I just want to kind of highlight it, just given that this is pretty much the only quote-unquote new deck-ish. It's just kind of a return to 9 lives in that sense. So Divine Purge as well as 9 lives. You can also play Phyrexian Unlife as an additional kind of effect. So you can play Phyrexian Unlife as well as Solemnity. Sorry, not Divine Purge. So it's 9 lives Solemnity. So if you do Phyrexian Unlife and Solemnity, then you don't have the weakness of your 9 lives going into the graveyard, which is particularly bad because this deck's playing Farewell. So you can also play that with Phyrexian Unlife as a new card, or kind of mix up the number of 9 lives. Basically, the core is Solemnity. It doesn't allow you to get counters, so your 9 lives doesn't get counters, nor do you get poison counters from Solemnity from being damage dealt. Notably, though, Samwise combo as well as Yogg combo both win through life loss, through draining and infinite loops with Blood Artist style effects or Cat. So this gets around the lock, so just be mindful of that. Otherwise, just like a bunch of cheap counters, removal, Teferis. This has got a 1 of Karn board that also lets you tutor for key cards for the particular matchup in a Yorion shell. So kind of some spicy ones, and then we'll go to some other decks. So this is from Mafi on Twitter. They're 11-3 with it in ranked. Mafi does a lot of cool brews. And this is basically, I'll paste it, kind of explain the concept. So it's I guess a Soul Cauldron deck. And so I guess Soul Cauldron, you exile your own creatures, you put counters on your own creatures, or you exile creatures from a graveyard, your own ideally. You put 1/1 counters on creatures you control, they get all the activated abilities of all your other creatures. Basically what you're trying to do is put Tree of Perdition into your graveyard and then make one of your other creatures get access to the ability of Tree of Perdition, which is exchange your opponent's life total with the Tree of Perdition's toughness. Now, normally we don't really care about putting your opponent to 13, but if you could put him to 1 with like a Bowmaster's toughness or like 2, and then you ping him with a Bowmaster, or what you can do is like put him at 2 and then untap and use Deathray Shaman's ability to minus them 2 life as well. So kind of a cool interaction there as well. A bunch of ways to put cards into your graveyard, Knight Errant to tutor up stuff, and kind of combo kill your opponent. Sideboard has like Voice of Resurgence, a Johnny for card advantage, Fragment Reality, blow stuff up, Juggernaut Peddler for like hand hate, kind of mixed into there. We then move to Sukata 8 with some Gruul mid-range, Gruul Aggro that they got 7/15 Mythic with. And this is kind of your return to Embercleave land. So you got your Llanowars in here, Kumanos, your 2-drop packages with like BTE, Robber, Gallia, Voltaic Brawler. You got Lelia to give you card advantage without drawing cards, Ferocidon for anti-life gain. Bloodbraid helps you kind of cascade into any of these, so you're not necessarily playing Collected Company because you're higher on Questing Beasts as well. Notably with Questing Beasts, this gets around the Ring's protection because damage can't be prevented. So it kind of gets it there, and then you have the Embercleave Death Touch kind of interaction. 1 point of damage needs to be assigned, all the other damage could go through via Trample. And then you have like protection spells with like Shaper Sanctuary, Graveyard Battlefield effects with Grafdigger's Cage, Vortex for anti-life gain, Cindervine for control decks, Brittle Blast as removal, Shatterstorm for artifacts, Cronin War to steal, big things mixed into there. So forgive me for the ads, but we have to get, Jesus, a lot of ads. So this is MTG Decks. They have a couple decks. So this list went 48-24 in early September. This is a Yorion Gates deck by Yerfurfjr. Classic Yerfurfjr. So you've seen a number of Gates decks. This one's kind of interesting. So it's a Yorion pile. It's leveraging Navigation Orb from Alchemy, which lets you pay mana, tap, search for 2 basic lands, or gate cards, reveal them, put one into the battlefield, the other into your hand. So this kind of provides you card advantage and keeps the gates going. There's 41 lands in this deck, so you kind of take out that element, keep the gas flowing. Deck's also on 3 Pithing Needles main. So there's a lot of activated abilities and combos style things. You can name the One Ring out of your opponent. You can name Yawgmoth. You can name Woe Strider for Sam combo. You can name activated abilities of lands, planeswalkers, whatever it may be, which is kind of cool. You got Ulamog, you got Zakama, you got Atraxa, Prime Time for some value, Thragtusk for life gain mixed into there, and then a whole bunch of ramp options to get you early going. A single copy of Ugin, Escape the Wilds, and kind of sweeper package mixed in. A whole bunch of lands, including Baldur's Gate, which just provides you a whole bunch of mana. You have like Cages, Relics, Assassin's Trophy, blow up a bunch of things, Brotherhood's End, Timely for like the aggressive decks, Chandra for heavy counterspell decks. Moving on, we have, so this is Sprawl Y'all, Quilici 11-0. This is a Simic Merfolk deck. And I've seen this, like I was watching Misspin stream a couple times. I've seen this person as the opponent a few times. I'm actually kind of happy I found the list because it's really interesting. So Merfolk's a deck that's always been like almost there. There's some players that play Merfolk like religiously, and there's always like one or two high Merfolk players. So while we didn't get like anything new necessarily in the main in terms of creatures, you'll have like your Hex Mages here, Tricksters, Master Pearl Trident, Deep-Root Wayfinder, the Voldaren Tide Mage. Whenever one or more non-token creatures you control deal combat damage to player, choose one of those creatures, conjure a duplicate to your hand. So it's a nice way to create copies of like your Lord style effects. Sylvian's very powerful as well. This version, as always, one rings because, you know, why play a deck without it? And then you have Utopia Sprawl. So this deck's leveraging Utopia Sprawl in the mana base, helps you ramp, lets you kind of color fix as well. And then this lets you play, there's a Jace Wielder Mysteries if you draw out your deck. So kind of interesting to see like Jason here. There's a lot of ways to kind of incidentally draw cards. Lorien Reveal to kind of help you tutor for lands. Lorien Reveal can find you your Ketria Triumph, for example. 2 Ottawaras in the mana base. 3 Mutavaults. So some interesting inclusions of Field of Ruin. So I don't know how well in practice the deck actually plays out in that respect to get the Utopia Sprawl. I know I've seen them like fairly high mythic. You also have Nylea's Presence, which enters the battlefield. Enchanted land is every basic land type, so that works for the Utopia Sprawl as well. Thieving Skydiver, good against like artifacts. Then just a whole bunch of like counter spells, interactions, stuff like that. You have Questing Beast in there as well. The old Sleep. I haven't seen this card in a constructed format forever. Basically just, you know, all your creatures, tap them down. Now I just get to attack in, Alpha Strike in. Moving on, we have Yawgmoth from Kapala with little dots on the A's. 38 and 17, 69%. Nice mythic. So this is just the Yawgmoth deck. Just want to highlight because this is one of the kind of core decks of the format. Basically, Yawgmoth, 2 copies of Young Wolves targeting each other. Basically can allow you to loop and reset the damage by putting the 1/1 counters onto, or the -1/1 counters on each to reset the Undying triggers. Now, normally you would die because of the damage, but you either have Prosperous Innkeeper to gain you life, Zulaport Cutthroat to gain you life on the death trigger, or Blood Artist. Both Blood Artist and Zulaport drain out your opponent. Patra can also make you an obscene amount of snakes as well. This version's on Quarter Calling, Eldritch Evolution help you find the combo, as well as Elven Chorus, which makes all your creatures tap for mana, and let you play cards off the top of your library. Some of the decks in Modern with Yawg are playing Agatha's Soul Cauldron, but notably there's Grist, the Planeswalker in Modern, that allows you to play into Agatha's abilities, so you can like ultimate Agatha, I think, from the ability of, ultimate Grist from the ability of Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Not like 100% a Modern expert, but I know they're playing it in that deck. While you can copy the Yawgmoth in this deck, there's not really a lot of other activated abilities beyond Goose and Haywire Might that are necessarily involved in this deck. Pylon, Skyfisher, Train, you got like stuff to blow stuff up. Just basically like hand hate, more removal, kind of blow up opponents combo stuff. We then go to, this is Mono Black Midrange, another deck that's just kind of a pillar of the format. Bowmasters, Shieldred's Assimilator is an interesting one to see, just in the light of a Bowmaster meta. This one's 16 and 5 in like Mythic rank. And then Shieldred's Apocalypse. One Rings obviously in here, Fatal Push, March of Retro. So this is kind of the black deck with Sign and Bloods, or Field of Ruins, 2 demolition fields, really just picking on greedy mana bases in the sense of trying to blow things up. Pithing Needles, Heartless Axe, Leyline of the Voids for combo decks, Sorens, Necromentia for combo decks, kind of taking out key pieces of there. And then lastly, this one's a really sweet one. This deck is 71-28. 71% win rate, best of 3. Black-white tokens, completely under the radar. Bowmaster is the only creature in the deck, kind of, sort of. But you have Shadow Summoning, makes it 2 Spirits of Flying. Lingering Souls, probably top 5 all-time favorite card. When I started first playing competitive Magic, I was playing Mardu Aristocrats in Innistrad Standard with Blasphemous Act and Boros Reckoner, and just kind of going to combo that way. This is one of my favorite cards of all time. So this can make you a bunch of spirits as well. Legion's Landing. We have Dawn of New Hope. Enters the battlefield. You put a hope counter on it for each creature you control. Beginning of your end step, remove a hope counter from it. You draw a card. If you have no more counters on it, you sack it and gain 4 life. So card advantage engine. Flowering of the White Tree as another kind of anthem effect. Interesting to see 3 copies of this, just given it is legendary. But having the Lord effect is impactful. You have Intangible Virtues as another Lord effect. Vigilance also super relevant. Wedding Announcement, very powerful from its time in Standard. Myrex in the mana base. Myron minus Tirith. Card advantage, land. Then your sideboard like Fragmentality, Thought Seizes, Hushbringer, Reprieve, Scrub Hives, and Licensors. Pretty sweet one, all things considered. That's pretty much it. Let me know what you think, what you've been playing. As soon as we can get more like analytical data beyond this, we will include it in. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one and stay safe.